Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel, an editorial discussion for 12th of April 2022. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss an editorial from the Indian Express. It is titled The Larger Battle for Pakistan. And in this editorial, we will understand why the Prime Minister of Pakistan called India as an independent country with a great foreign policy. What have been the internal strife in Pakistan? What has been its impact on Pakistan and its influence on its neighbors and the countries around? If you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments, and shares. So let's get started. Before getting into the depth of this editorial, we will have to understand the background of Pakistan. Not only is Pakistan an important neighbor for India, but Pakistan is also a very important geostrategic country located just between the west and the east. Pakistan acts as an important linkage between the Western powers and the Eastern countries. Western powers not only in the Middle East but the west of Europe as well. Not only that, Pakistan provides a valuable inlet into Central Asia. So Pakistan region has been always of interest for the developed countries. Not only for the fact that it is geostrategically important, but also that it has not been a very strong country. Hence, under the influence of USA or Russia or China at different times. This is the reason that Pakistan has been in a state of external turmoil, leaving apart what's happening inside. Let's discuss ahead. This nation is that of size of around 23 crore people, 23 crore people, almost the size of Uttar Pradesh by population. GDP of Pakistan has been sliding down. 2018, the GDP was around $320 billion nominal, and it has come down. It is not that the GDP growth rate is slow or GDP is progressing only at a very slow pace. It has come down. So you can well imagine what is the state of Pakistan's economy. The upper house is called as Senate, which is equivalent to our Rajya Sabha. The lower house is called as National Assembly, where people are elected directly, and National Assembly has 342 seats. So requiring a majority, forming a government, one would need 172 seats. The present Prime Minister of Pakistan is Shehbaz Sharif. This is the whole theme of controversy, the Prime Ministership of Pakistan, and what is the cause and what is the effect of it. Now, some little background about Pakistan. The ethnicity in Pakistan is varied and variety. Punjabis, almost 45-50%, 15% of Pashtun and 15% of Sindhi people, and after that minorities do exist. By religion, 95% plus people have adopted the religion of Islam and others are minorities, right? So before we move ahead, let me tell you the immediate crisis that Pakistan faced was its very ill-timed visit to Russia. It was the same time, 23rd and 24th of February, when Russia had declared a war on Ukraine, moving in from Donetsk and Luhansk region. That's the time when Pakistan Prime Minister and his delegates were opening their suitcases in a hotel in Moscow, and they were destined to meet Putin. This was a pre-planned meeting, and Pakistan Prime Minister did not think it that he must postpone a visit like this, and therefore there were a lot of confusions around this visit. So there were confusion. We also discussed this in current affairs. What was the reason for Prime Minister of Pakistan visit during Ukraine invasion right at that time? Was he there to give support or guidance? What was it about? But the reality is that it was a pre-planned visit where Pakistan Prime Minister was seeking aid for construction of gas pipelines and investment and increasing ties with Russia. Just because Russia has been an Indian partner, they also want to tie up with Russia. That's it. That was it. But then it has been construed in variety of ways. For example, Pakistan says that USA asked Pakistan not to proceed with Prime Minister Imran Khan visit to Russia. This is one allegation against USA. The second one is USA punishing Pakistan Prime Minister for Moscow visit. This is what Russia has also said, right? All of them saying that USA didn't want them to meet right now, but they met, and USA is punishing by removing Pakistan Prime Minister from his position, right? But then this is a great tale of diplomatic confusion and political isolation of this leader. That's what it is about, right? And in this context, I would also like to mention that the deputy NSA of USA had also given a strong message to India of India's participation with Russia. purchases of oil or bypassing sanctions, if you remember. And this is where USA's White House office has already clarified that it was not a warning at all. And USA is also keeping away from these kind of allegations and making it clear we have never interacted with Pakistan. But on the other hand, Pakistan says we have received a letter from USA. Other people say it was only a forged document. All right. So the context of this crisis is the visit by Imran Khan to Russia, right? So but then the roots of this crisis have always existed. So let's understand the roots of this crisis. See, Pakistan's prime ministership has never completed the complete 5 year of tenure. 5 year tenure for a prime minister, they have never completed as of now. Although democratically elected governments have seen to be existent, but then these are called as guided democracy. What is guided democracy? It seems that the governments have been elected democratically. However, there is autocracy while they are in power. They are always guided with the help of military authorities, right? There is somebody else at the helm and they are only the pawns who are functioning, right? So simple example is many of the prime ministers of Pakistan resigning. as many as uh, uh, as many as 7 prime ministers in Pakistan have resigned. 5 have faced dismissals. One got assassinated, the first Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan. And then there were many military coups in Pakistan, as many as 4. And also, Prime Ministers were disqualified by the court because they were convicts, right? Some of the other convictions, corruption, and other charges. So, Pakistan has always been a guided democracy, a very important term that you must use while you speak of international relations or security of various countries. All right. So this has been the situation, and Nawaz Sharif also fell in the trap, and now Mr. Khan has also fallen into the same trap. All right, so this is the background of Pakistan. The current situation has emerged from the year 2018. This was the time when two historically existent parties, uh, Pakistan's People Party and Pakistan's Muslim League. These parties have existed for a lot of time. We have had Mr. Bhutto, his daughter Bhutto, and then his son Bilawal Bhutto. All of them having been a part of nepotism and favoritism. So this has been one of the parties, Pakistan's People Party. On the other hand, Pakistan's Muslim League, led by Nawaz Sharif, and then there were allegations that he's been a part of corruption scandals, owning houses in UK and properties and in Saudi Arabia, and therefore he was ordered to be imprisoned, and now he is in a self declared exile in UK. All right, his younger brother, always with him, Shehbaz Sharif, he is the one who is now the prime minister. So this is Pakistan's Muslim League. Now this was 2018, where elections were to be held in Pakistan, and that's where our cricketer Mr. Khan, he comes up and says that I will fight in Pakistan against nepotism of various political parties, indicating as at PPP. And he said, I will fight against corruption happening in Pakistan, indicating at PML. And he won the majority in the elections. Not complete majority, but he had to have allies which could help him garner the important strength of 172. So just barely crossed this, and he became the prime minister. That was a great feat that time. However, he took over as the prime minister of Pakistan during the time when there was GDP about to slide in Pakistan. External debt was only rising, 30% of external debt in Pakistan right now. Unemployment, business closures, inflation, all of them also along with civil unrest. होते रहते हैं ना? There are so many bombings keep happening in Pakistan, Taliban, and the government fighting against each other, various factions, and COVID was just about to reach Pakistan. And all of this disaster, it resulted in huge economic turmoil in Pakistan. And this is where the political parties, PPP, PML, all these parties, even the people with various ideologies, the conservatives, the liberals, right, the minorities, right, all of these parties, the people who are fundamentalists, the people who are liberal, the people who have leftist ideology, who are extremely rightist or capitalist ideology, they all came together and formed an alliance, right, an informal alliance, PPP, PML, all of them came together and they said, we are going to have no we are going to have a no confidence vote against the prime minister because we think that they are not working well. This happened in 2022 March itself, right? So earlier, so this was the no confidence vote in Pakistan which was proposed by the opposition, and this is the assembly of Pakistan, the National Assembly of Pakistan, right? Now, just before they were to be conducted, there were raids happening in parliament lodges because it was alleged that the opposition parties had brought in some militia and could have conducted armed conflict in the city in Islamabad. So there were these issues, and in lieu of all this happening, the ruckus happening in and around the parliament, Pakistan army was all quiet. It said that I'm going to stay neutral. Now, the background of Pakistan's army participation is that it has always been at the helm of affairs in the background or foreground, and it is said that Pakistan army only brought Imran Khan as the prime minister when it parted ways with Nawaz Sharif, right? If it wanted Sharif to be in power, he would have been in power, but he wasn't in power anymore, and the army sided with Imran Khan in 2018. That's why he was in power, and right now army says that we will be neutral to ruckus in the parliament like this, no confidence vote against him, and this was not taken in well spirit by Imran Khan, right? So this is a background to it. Now what happens next is a constitutional crisis in Pakistan, a huge crisis in Pakistan, where the Pakistan prime minister suddenly says in March that he won't resign even if the allied parties or his own party members, his own National Assembly members, they defect. Right? He said, I will still not resign because there is a foreign hand involved in this kind of conspiracy. There's a conspiracy running against him just because he visited Russia and he's looking at greater ties, independent ties with an independent nation. A foreign conspiracy is happening against him, right? So he indicated that USA doing all this with the help of other people. So he says that no trust motion, which had to happen in the Pakistan parliament, he rejected this, right? He said, let's reject this, and he guided the chairperson, the speaker or the deputy speaker in the parliament, and said, no trust motion, let's chuck away with this. I will resign. Let's dissolve this assembly. And he guided the president to dissolve the assembly, and he said, let's form a caretaker government, right? And we'll conduct the elections. Then Supreme Court says of Pakistan that, Arey, what are you doing? What is the thing that you're doing? So this is where they say that it is the necessity that has brought us to do a thing like this. What is the necessity? Doctrine of Necessity is written as a part of Article 5 of Pakistan's constitution. It says very clearly that every person must have loyalty to the state. It is their basic duty. And obedience to the constitution and law is inviolable obligation of every citizen, whether staying inside or outside. And this is where they say that the opposition parties are not being loyal to the state. They are being loyal to external forces. So their demand of having this no confidence motion will not be accepted at all. This is what they said very clearly. So he says that is the reason that I will not be resigning. We will dissolve and we will conduct this election once again. Supreme Court held some meetings with the Election Commission, and they understood very clearly that the caretaker government, even if they instate, it can stay only for 3 months, and election must be conducted within 3 months. On the other hand, Election Commission has said that of Pakistan says that election cannot be conducted for 5 to 6 months. They aren't prepared for the same. So Supreme Court says we are going to reinstate your government again. You will be the prime minister. And the best part is that the Pakistan army did not intervene at all. See, there have been indications that there'll be possibility of military coup in Pakistan, something that has happened multiple times. 4 or 5 times of military coup have happened in the Pakistan in the past, and it was being expected right now also. So this is in a way win of democracy, that it is the Supreme Court which is mentioning this, following democratic processes, following the no confidence motion, and there's been no intervention of Pakistan's army. So see, this is a win for Pakistan, and this is a win for democracy around the whole world, win for India as well, because this is how people will win eventually, right? But then you must remember these important words: doctrine of necessity, understand what is Article 5. Thankfully India doesn't have an article like this. Now Imran Khan, this is the time when he hailed India as having an independent foreign policy, independent of powerful nations as well, right? So people said, India mein nahi bolte hain that you like Pakistan's policies, wahi jao na, raho na. So people have also alleged, Pakistan's People Party and people have said to Imran Khan, you like that nation, wahi chale jao na. Go to India. So some sarcasms happening around. So Pakistan's Article 5 is what made the Prime Minister not resign and be stiff towards a no confidence vote. But then Supreme Court said you have to conduct no confidence vote, and it was conducted, and they lost the majority. And after that, the Prime Ministership came to the brother of Nawaz Sharif, Shehbaz Sharif, right? But then let us talk of what could be the real issues because of which this change of power happened. See, this is about the Pakistani army, which has always been at the background and many times in the foreground as well. General Qamar Bajwa, who has been the chief of Pakistani army, he has been taking control, and he's the one who has been calling shots for the Pakistan government also, right? So he wanted, see, there are two other generals, General Faiz Ahmad and General Nadeem. Now, General Qamar Bajwa wanted General Nadeem to take over as the ISI chief. But then Faiz Ahmad was the one who was wanted by Imran Khan, right? And Imran Khan said that I will bring Faiz Ahmad to power with the chief of ISI, and you become the next army chief, and you support me to become the prime minister next time as well, right? But then this is where General Bajwa says that no, I will want my man to be the ISI chief and later possibly the army chief as well. And he's retiring in this year itself, 2022. So although all this, appointments, they were held back by the Prime Minister Imran Khan back then, but then he couldn't withstand this. It was too late for him, and General Bajwa, he had understood that Imran Khan won't follow the orders from military. So indirectly, they ensured that he fell out of majority in the parliament. He fell out of the majority in the parliament, and that's what happened. So this is the background of this. See, largely America has got nothing to do with Pakistan if Pakistan is not using its nuclear weapons, if Pakistan is not waging a war with India, right? If Pakistan is not involved in important engagements with Russia, USA doesn't have to do anything with this. So all this is only about internal politics of Pakistan. So USA says, I don't care. I am right now indulged with a war in Russia. That's what is my problem. And then China. So what is in with China is the reality that all the leaders have wanted greater relationship with China, and so has Imran Khan. So has the new leader now. So the new leader, which is Shehbaz, has already had pacts for CPEC with China. So this is the relationship with China. They all want a decent relationship. In fact, the army chief has already mentioned that we want good relations with America as well, one of the largest destinations for Pakistan's exports, right? Now, the impacts of political change. See, impacts of political change inside Pakistan, a lot of headache for Pakistan, and outside Pakistan, both are relevant. Outside Pakistan is more relevant for India, but see what happens in inside is also a reflection of what is going to happen outside. So what is headache of Pakistan is economic contraction. Jaldi jaldi employment lana hai. Now, what Imran Khan did, what he expanded the economy, like giving employment to people, like constructing houses for the poor, and this is where the GDP didn't rise, but social spendings did rise. So a lot of deficit, a lot of debt for the government, corruption have been happening. The Durand Line issue, the issue between Afghanistan and Pakistan boundary, where Pakistan and Afghanistan have been going with war with each other. So that is an Afghan Pakistan crisis. That is their headache as well. Army political leadership. You've just seen how the political leadership is often disgruntled with the armed forces leadership and replaced at the helm of affairs just because army doesn't want it. Mending relation with regional leaders, with Saudi Arabia, Iran, Turkey, they have to gain their confidence back. What about engagements with India, USA, Afghanistan, and China? We just understood that USA engagements, they don't have to do much, right? USA is not interested in case anything is happening internally. Afghanistan, they have to have better relations with Afghanistan for Durand Line issues. China, they are already looking at better relationship with CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor promotion. And with India, there are many engagements that Shehbaz Sharif looks at. The last time he visited, when Nawaz Sharif was the Prime Minister, he visited India, and it was great. He has been speaking all the time that Sir Creek, Siachen, water issues, Kashmir issues must be sorted, and peaceful solution is the only resolution. He also visited metro stations in Delhi, solid waste management plants, power plants in around Delhi, just to see the possibility of how Pakistan also could have them. So looks like that there is a cautious optimism. See, the best part is that India has not been seen in bad light in all this crisis. But there's a bad thing also, that is India is not at the negotiating table about the internal or external issues of Pakistan. So this is how we understand in this editorial, not only editorial, a lot of things covered beyond it, that Pakistan has been going through issues and these can impact a country like India also. We must understand the doctrine of necessity. Doctrine of necessity. Anything which has been not even a part of what is necessary, what is important, what is otherwise not lawful, that also has been made acceptable because of necessity. Pakistan did this. So doctrine of necessity is important to understand. Just remembering these keywords. Understanding no confidence vote is important. Understanding the key concept of guided democracy in Pakistan is important, and how it is going to impact countries around, that is India, China, Afghanistan, USA. This is important. So with this we come to the conclusion of this discussion. Now I would like you to attempt this question and write down the four dynamics at play in Pakistan's internal turmoil. Not a very tough one. And then five impacts on its relationship with its neighbor. Type down in the comment section, and it will be great to see you exercise your brain in this editorial. Now, if you like this initiative, spread this word. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you have questions or some problems in any editorials or discussions, just type down and we will get back to you and possibly discuss that editorial as well. Thank you for watching.